What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. So it looks like it has been set. The Mayhem Undercard. Floyd Mayweather versus Marcos Maidana 2. So I want to spend some time talking about that with you guys. I want you guys to engage, leave your comments, let me know what you guys think. So, per the man himself, Floyd Mayweather, this is going to be the undercard for Marcos Maidana Part 2 in Mayweather. Leo Santa Cruz versus Manuel Roman. Miguel Vasquez versus Mickey Bay, Alfredo Angulo versus James De La Rosa, and John Molina Jr. versus Humberto Soto. So that is the Mayhem undercard. And I want to give you guys my thoughts. Personally, I feel this sucks balls. I don't really think the undercard is all that exciting. You have a couple of names on there that could bring some interest. However, I don't think they're in there with the right competition, if you will. Leo Santa Cruz is a tremendous fighter. I like him. He's on the up and coming. And people want to see him fight Rigondeaux. So Rigondeaux not being in his top ranked contract, I really would try, if I was Mayweather Promotions or Al Heyman, I would really try to reach out to this dude and try to sign him. Now they're saying Jay-Z is in talks to sign Rigo for maybe a 3-fight deal. I don't know how far or how deep they're in that promotion or how serious Jay-Z is about trying to enter and take part in the boxing world. So that's something. But whatever. I think Leo Santa Cruz and Manuel Roman is just an okay fight. I really want to see Leo Santa Cruz in there against somebody like even a Kiko Martinez. If you're not going to do a fight with Lomachenko or Rigondeaux or even a Gary Russell Jr. because Gary Russell Jr., at the very least, he was outclassed by Lomachenko, but he wasn't knocked out or anything like that. So I think a fight of more significance, a bigger name for Leo Santa Cruz, and then you could possibly do a Rigondeaux fight later if you didn't want to make that for this card. Then you have Miguel Vasquez versus Mickey Bay, and it's an interesting stylistic matchup, but I mean, it's not all that great. Some people complain that Vasquez has a boring style. Mickey Bay more of a technical boxer, if you will. He showed that on display in the John Molina Jr. fight. So me personally, if you're going to have John Molina Jr. on the card, I would rather see Mickey Bay versus John Molina Jr. Part 2 because at the very least, there's some history behind that. And it was a shocking come from behind upset that John Molina Jr. was able to pull off in the last round. He was thoroughly getting outboxed and he was getting worked. And he caught Mickey Bay basically clowning and slipping, and he was able to use that power and that pressure to finish him off. So to me, that is a more intriguing fight. As far as John Molina Jr. and Humberto Soto, I mean, what's the basis? What's the point? Humberto Soto is a guy I think was better in the lighter weight divisions. A lot of guys who come up, they're not as good as they once were. Yuriorkis Gamboa, the more he moved up, the less effective he became. I mean, Gamboa is still a problem, but you see why he's dropping back down from 135 to the lower weight divisions. That's just a more natural fit for him. I think the same thing with Vic Darchinyan and Humberto Soto. I think Soto was better when he was fighting lighter. Him fighting John Molina Jr. to me is more of a showcase fight. Doesn't really catapult John Molina to the upper echelon. And I understand John Molina Jr. is coming off a loss, but he's coming off a loss to Lucas Matisse, a guy who arguably has only been beaten once, and that was to Danny Garcia. And that one can't be disputed. Danny Garcia convincingly beat him, shut his eye and all that shit. The other losses that Lucas Matisse has are questionable. That was to Zab Judah and Devin Alexander, and that was when he was first coming to the States really fighting and stuff like that. So a lot of people think that Lucas Matisse should have won one or both of those fights. So I really don't view Lucas Matisse beating John Molina Jr. as a terrible loss because John Molina Jr. was holding his own, and to me that was a potential fight of the year. So I really don't see why John Molina Jr. is fighting a Humberto Soto. Just doesn't really do anything. Lucas Matisse already beat Soto. Soto again is better at the lighter weight divisions. I don't really see how this is going to move him to the top 5 at 140 by beating Humberto Soto. You know what I mean? That's like beating a Jose at this point. When he was undefeated, yeah, you can make an argument that this is a good thing to add to his resume, but I think John Molina Jr. is big as fuck at 140, and beating Humberto Soto just ultimately is not that impressive to me. Then you have Angulo making his return against James De La Rosa. Again, not another fight that I don't think the fans are screaming about up and down for. James De La Rosa, not a big name. I did my ego matchmaker, and I gave you guys an awesome match that I want to see, and that was Alfredo Angulo versus Austin Trout. This is a very intriguing match, and I think it would create more interest than Alfredo Angulo versus James De La Rosa, and that's namely because the people that Angulo and Trout lost to were mutual opponents. They both fought Canelo. They both fought Saul Canelo Alvarez, and they both fought Edislani Lara, and they were both beaten by them. So it's an interesting backstory, and I think Austin Trout has a more significant name than James De La Rosa. So overall, it would have been an interesting fight because we would see, would Austin Trout be able to ward off Alfredo Angulo with that power and that consistent, relentless pressure through boxing? And it's kind of a make or break fight, so the stakes would be high in that fight. Alfredo Angulo and Austin Trout desperately need wins. So y'all need to fuck around, pay me to be the matchmaker. I guarantee you I'll come up with some better fights than this bullshit. I'm not a fan of this undercard, and I think I was wrong because after the first Maidana fight, I was like, oh, this one's definitely going to generate over 1 million pay-per-view buys because I thought they were going to stack the undercard, which they think they did. But to me, this is not an undercard that is going to guarantee over 1 million pay-per-view buys. And if it does, it's mainly because of Maidana and Mayweather and the controversy in the first fight. But from just at the eye test, this is not really a card to me that's going to do over 1 million pay-per-view buys based on the undercard not really being that strong. And it's a rematch that some people aren't even happy with that either. So not really a fan of this. Like I said, as far as undercard goes, the best fight, in my opinion, I would say, I guess, Miguel Vasquez versus Mickey Bay. But even that is not the most intriguing fight. I would have rather seen John Molina Jr. and Lucas Matisse go at it again in the same year than to see fucking John Molina and Humberto Soto. And that's just my personal taste. And then, like I said, Alfredo Angulo, he's an entertaining fighter, but he looked terrible against Canelo. He looked very slow, was very gun shy. A fight with a good stylistic opposite is more needed, I think, for Alfredo Angulo, and that's someone like an Austin Trout, who also has a bigger name for me. So not really a fan of this. Let me know what you guys think of the Mayhem undercard. I just don't see it being that great or that stacked. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like the video. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, is Ego signing off.